Today we are doing my Glossier girl makeup tutorial. I had a few new things arrived. I did a little shop on Glossier. I have a few new products, some old favourites, but there's a couple of new things in there that have just recently launched. So I'm very excited to get those on my face and give them a little road test in this video. This is going to be mostly Glossier products, but not all Glossier products because I like mascara and they have not yet, as far as I am aware, released a mascara. So when that does launch, I will be there for it. So I'm going to tie my hair back for putting my makeup on. That bit of hair is annoying me so much. In true Glossier style, I didn't properly style my hair and just left it to air dry, which is why we have this little beachy mess today. I kind of felt like that was appropriate. The consequence of that though is that my hair is pretty damn frizzy right now. I'm gonna need to sort that out in a bit. So we'll get into the makeup in a sec, I promise, but I'm gonna talk to you about skin first. Just because with Glossier makeup it is obviously very lightweight and non-covering. This is going to be a little bit more coverage today, I think, just because this is the way I want to do this, and I know there are a lot of people out there that aren't into like super lightweight makeup, so this is kind of bridging the best of both worlds in my humble opinion. But because of the lightweightness of this look and this style of makeup, it's really important to prep your skin properly, and for me that means a good nighttime skincare routine. So I've got that down. I use a face oil and it makes my skin look baby like. I haven't had breakfast, can you tell? But there are a few other things I do if I know I'm going to be wearing lightweight makeup. One of the first things I do is I always make sure that my face is a little bit more tan than usual, because I just find that that makes me feel much more comfortable in my own skin, especially because I've got olive skin, and when it's the winter time it just goes grey. I don't know if anyone else has the same problem. When you haven't seen the sun in a while you just start to look quite ashy. So for me, if I'm doing less makeup or no makeup, I like to have used a fake tan on my face. I use this one before I go to bed, the Charlotte Tilbury Overnight Bronze and Glow Mask. I always end up getting little patches, like you might notice today I have a patch on my forehead, but I don't care because I wear makeup over the top of it and it just kind of corrects it. Today I've also used the Clarins Instant Smooth Self-Tanning Primer just to give my face a little bit more glow and to prep my skin, and I also used this before, which is the Glossier Priming Rich Moisturiser. This is a very nice moisturiser. It's my favourite one from them. Would highly recommend. It's very inoffensive, and for my sensitive skin that's like the one that my skin really agrees with. So with that in mind, let's get on with the makeup. Okay, so for base I am using the Glossier Perfecting Skin Tint in the shade Medium. I like to go a shade up because it kind of like warms up my face a little bit. And I'm also going to be using a little bit of the Guerlain Lingerie Depot Aqua Nude Foundation. Oh my god, my nose is so bunged up I can't say product names. So to apply that you can either use your fingers. I prefer to use a beauty blender because it gives the same finish as your fingers but without getting the makeup on your fingers, because I have everything in this room is white, and even on my way out of the room I will have to touch like a door or something, and I always end up getting foundation marks on everything. So beauty blender. Ooh. So in the interest of not getting too much makeup on my hands, I'm just going to squeeze this directly onto my face. This is probably the funnest thing about this product. And then I'm just blending that in using my Real Techniques Beauty Blender blending sponge thing. And this basically just gives my skin a tiny bit of tint. It's got literally zero coverage to it. I don't know if you can see, I've got a spot on my chin and it is still there, and all my scarring is still there. So I basically really enjoy using it for its dewiness. It basically makes your skin look super dewy and glowy, and it's really lovely, and that just kind of continues to come out throughout the day as your natural oils come through as well, so you end up looking nice and dewy and really natural. And I'm taking any excess that I have on my sponge onto my eyelids as well, just to cover them a little bit and just even out the colour of the skin tone a tiny weeny bit. And because I don't have perfect Glossier style skin, my skin is scarred to shit, I'm going to take the Guerlain Lingerie Depot Aqua Nude Foundation. This is the shade 3N Natural, and I really like this foundation. This is basically the amped up version of the Glossier Skin Tint. I'm just going to pop that on the back of my hand. It's very water based, and because of that it gives a really lovely dewy look to your skin, but it has a little bit more coverage than the Glossier Skin Tint. And I'm just going to use this where I need it, which is mainly around here, because for some reason last year I had a really awful bout of spots over my cheeks and I've never had them there before, and my skin is scarred like crap. So I basically use this just to even that skin tone out, because as well as being scarred, it's also the area of skin became quite uneven when it's scarred, so this just helps to even that out really nicely. And same with my chin, because my chin has a lot of scarring on it as well, and it's also got spots, so we're just gonna sort that out. I'm not going to be concealing too much today, so I feel like my foundation and base in general is really important to get looking nice and even. Oh, that sheen. Oh, I love this foundation so much. And then just a little bit on my forehead as well. And when I do makeup looks like this, I generally leave my nose fairly free of product, and that's because I find your nose is the real telltale sign for if someone's wearing foundation. So if you can leave your nose clear, it will also help if you have like blackheads on your nose as well, not to add product onto it. Mine gets so much better when I do makeup like this. Next, I'm going to conceal. I'm going to be using the Glossier Stretch Concealers. I have the shade Light and the shade Medium here. Medium I generally tend to use for around my face, and then Light I use for under my eyes. I'm a little bit tanned at the moment though, so I might need a mixture of the two under my eyes, I'm not sure. But this is what they look like. These are both fresh new ones, so I haven't touched them yet. This is, I think, Medium, and this is Light. And to apply this, I'm just using one of my tiny little Real Techniques blending sponges and just dabbing that into the pot, and this is the best way to apply as concealer. I just find this gives you the most coverage. I'm definitely going to need to use a little bit of medium over the top of this because that is too white, and just dabbing a bit of medium over the top, wishing I hadn't gone over my eyelid because now my eyelid looks weird. And just pressing that into the skin, and then I'm also gonna take that in between my eyebrows as well, and then a little bit around my nose and my cheeks just to even out the skin. And this concealer is lovely as well because it is so dewy and fresh. It literally just makes your skin look like you could be wearing makeup, but you could not be wearing makeup. Just like, it's a very good skin concealer. Still, everything still shines through a tiny bit, but not too much. So that is concealer done. Now I'm going to use a tiny bit of highlighter. I'm going to be using the Glossier Halo Scope highlighter in the shade Moon, which you guys know I love. I really like this one because Moon doesn't have like a colour to it. Lots of people say it's quite white, but I don't find that. I find that it just seems to come out quite clear on my skin, but just gives a really lovely sheen to the skin, which I think is awesome. And just, it looks so natural versus having like a champagne-y kind of colour, which I don't think looks natural, and it doesn't look like a real actual glow. So I just warm this up on the back of my hand first, because I always find if you live in the UK, things can get a bit chilly and your product can get a bit stiff. And then I just swipe that over my cheekbones and then on my temples. And I've started really applying highlight like right at the top of my cheekbones. So kind of here and not bringing it too far down. And I really like the way that looks. And then I'm just taking that tiny beauty blender and blending it into my skin. Okay, now I'm going to do something slightly controversial, and by that I mean not really controversial at all. I'm going to use the Glossier Cloud Paint in the shade Dusk, and I'm going to basically apply this all over my face. Not really, but kind of. So I'm just squeezing a pump like that onto the back of my hand, and then using my fingers I am going to apply this to my cheeks, but also where I would apply my bronzer. So I'm going to take it from my cheeks up to my temples. And the reason I'm doing this is because this kind of works as a blush and bronzer in one. I actually really like the colour of this because I'm taking this onto my cheeks. I know this is controversial, I told you. And the reason that I'm doing that is because this is kind of a browny, pinky colour. But once you apply it to your face, it has the same kind of look as when you've been sitting in the sun and you've got like a bit of a sun-kissed look. And we all know that I love that look. So I'm applying it to my cheeks, my nose, everywhere that I would basically tan. A little bit up here. This is where I would normally catch the sun. And then a little bit either side of my nose, down my nose. And I'm going to blend that out a little bit in places just using my tiny beauty blender. These things are very useful. I'm just putting a tiny bit more on my nose, and then I'm just taking any excess. There's the tiniest amount left over on my fingers, but I'm taking that over my eyelids. And kind of up onto my brow bone a little bit. And that is my skin done. That is my Glossier skin. There's only one more bit that I'm going to do to the skin, and that's going to be later on in the video. But I love this. It's so natural. Like, I could happily leave the house like this. No brows, no eyeliner, no mascara. Like, this is just such a lovely skin look. This would be so nice in the summer, and I will rock this a lot come summertime. But that's not where we're ending things. That is not where things are being left. I'm gonna try out one of the new Glossier Lid Stars. These are new cream eyeshadows that they've released. This is the shade Moon, which is a kind of like champagne-y colour. They're very like glowy and highlighty. I really like that. And then I also have this pinky shade, but I feel like I might go for a brown. I'm not sure. This one's like quite an icy pink. It's just there. Okay, I have this colour. This is the shade Cub. I think this might be the one that I want. Yeah, the one that I want. I might use a tiny bit of that. I'm gonna go with this one. I'm gonna just pop that there on my, what are these called? These are called eyelids. Okay, got it. I'm so on it today. And then I'm just gonna blend that out using my finger. I think we could go a little bit heavier. That blended out very, very sheer. The thing I like about these is they are quite creamy rather than liquidy. They don't feel too wet and slippy. I'm gonna bring you a little bit closer so you can see this. Okay, this will give you a good like up close of my skin as well so you can see it properly. I'm just gonna add a little bit of the Moon shade into my inner corner, just here. And then I'm just gonna pat that in with this brush. I would normally do this with my fingers, but my nails are too long and I keep stabbing myself in the eye. Fun times! I like the eyeshadow. It's really, really nice and subtle. Yeah, I like it. It's really subtle. If you don't like subtle, it's not gonna work for you. If you love a nice subtle eyeshadow and you like the way this looks, buy it. Okay, now we are gonna move on to brows, and I did my brows like this yesterday and just fell in love with this way of doing it. I think it's very Glossier-esque, even though I'm using one Glossier product for this. But I'm gonna be using the Anastasia brow pomade, and this is something that I used years and years ago and I loved it back then. I recently got a new shade because they brought out a lot more shades over the past few years, and this shade is ash brown. It's so perfect for my eyebrows. I can't even. I freaking love it. I'm so happy with it. And I really wanted to do like really big, natural looking but really bushy brows yesterday, and I was just like searching for the perfect product for it because I really love just having that like easy brow gel look, but I don't have enough brows for that yet. I'm trying to grow them out. So I decided to try and fill them in and kind of create individual strands. So I got this tiny brush, which is from Sigma. It's their Winged Liner EO6 brush. Basically the world's tiniest little angle brush. And it was exactly what I needed because my other angle brushes don't give the effects of real hairs because they are such big angle brushes. So this is perfect, and I just dip that into the pomade. Take just a small amount. You really don't need a lot with these. I actually would say this is my preferred way of using the pomades because if you do go for a bigger brush, it just ends up being quite thick and a bit too much. So I'm gonna start off on the top of my brow. The pressure is on doing this on camera. And just basically try and create little individual strokes as much as possible. And then I do the same in the front of my brow. And then once I've done that, I'm taking my Glossier Boy Brow. I don't know if it's, yeah, it's focused, woo! We actually got that right for once. I'm taking the Glossier Boy Brow. This is a fresh new one. This is one of the things I ordered. And I'm just gonna run that through my eyebrows. And I basically brush them all up to give them that really messy vibe. The difference between the two. So this side for me is a little bit harder. I start on the underside because I have a much more arched eyebrow on this side and it's not as full on the underside. So I kind of like to sort that out first because it makes me nervous. And if you have the same struggles as me with this bit, my advice would be to tip your head back because it sometimes helps. Not always, but sometimes. And when I do the front as well, I also am going slightly lower than where my hairs actually start, just to give it the effect of like a thicker brow area. I don't really know what you call it, like the height of my brows, then my brows look longer. Okay, so that's where I'm gonna leave brows. I'm not as happy as I was with them yesterday, but I think the pressure of being on camera is getting to me, you know. Also, apologies in advance. My neighbours have just started having work done on their house and there is crazy drilling, so yeah. So again, I'm just using Glossier Boy Brow on this side as well, obviously. And then what I also did yesterday is something that I haven't done in a really long time, like it's been years, but I actually filled in a few of my moles and added a couple of freckles to my face. My moles kind of get lost a little bit underneath my foundation, so I decided to fill them back in and see what that would look like. Added a few freckles as well, which I don't know how I feel about that because I don't have freckles naturally, and I don't know if it looks a bit weird on my skin tone, but. So I start off by filling in this one here. This one I've had since I was a kid and I'm quite fond of it, oddly. And then there's one here, and there's also one down here. They make a triangle. And then once I've done that, I just kind of dab over the top of them because otherwise it kind of gives it away that you've filled them in. And then what I also do is I turn my scars that are left poking out and any little spots into moles. Or freckles, whatever you want to call them. And then what I do after I have filled all these moles in is I then go over with my beauty blender again and a tiny bit of concealer on it and just take them back down a notch. But once I've done that, they are still way more prominent, especially because I've used the Dip Brow Pomade. It's quite dark and they're also not going anywhere now that I've used that. Okay, so now that is done, I am going to just work on my eyes a tiny bit. I'm gonna start off by using the Guerlain Precision Liner, I think this is called. Precision felt eyeliner in Ultra Black, and I'm not gonna put this on top of my lashes like you would all probably expect. I just like to press this underneath my lash line. I'm basically tight lining with this. And this just helps to make my lashes look naturally a little bit thicker and a little bit darker as well. I think it just helps to define the eyes that little bit more. The best way to do this is just to look down and use the liner to kind of like lift your lashes a little bit, and then you just slide it into the lash line, the upper lash line. Even, what am I saying today? I don't even know. I'm actually just gonna take a tiny bit of this Too Faced eyeshadow, which is the shade Peach Meringue from the Peachy Mattes palette. It's like a yellowy shade, and I'm just gonna tap that over my eyeshadow a little bit. I don't want to lose too much of the sheen from the cream eyeshadow, but I'm just noticing that it's starting to crease, and this will help it set a little bit. Now I'm going to put a tiny bit of mascara on. I'm going to use the Clarins Super Volume Mascara, and this is one that I've loved for a really long time. I rediscovered it when I was going through my beauty drawers yesterday. It's got a really nice big wand and it just gives really natural fluttery lashes, and I'm not going to apply too much, literally just a little bit and mostly at the root of the lashes. I find that the best way to keep your lashes looking really nice and natural is not to have too much mascara on the ends of your lashes, if any at all. And if I do get any mascara on the ends of my lashes, I use my finger just to rub it off basically. Just a word of warning, this is what your hand is eventually going to look like after this tutorial. Yeah, cute. So that is it for eyes, and now I'm just going to finish off with my lips. I'm going to be using the Glossier Generation G lipstick, and this is in the shade Cake. It's a really gorgeous, like neutral, like your lips kind of brown colour. And then I'm just going to be putting some of the Rose Balm.com over the top of that. And if you want to line your lips before you do this as well, you feel free. I cannot get a song out of my head. So I've just pushed that into my lips. I haven't gone right to the edges or anything, and now I'm going to take a little bit of the Balm.com, which is a really nice pinky colour. So I think this does add a slight little bit of tint, and I'm just gonna pat that into my lips. It's kind of like matte, so it's not too sheeny, but it has a little bit of something, and then I just push that into my top lip as well and kind of blend it over my lip line. So that is lips done. I love the combination of the brownie lipstick mixed with the slight rosy pinkiness of the Balm.com. So that is it for my take on the Glossier Girl makeup look. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I'm gonna go eat some breakfast now because I am hungry AF. But I will leave you with a little before and after of this look, and do let me know if you recreate it. Let me know what you think. But that is it from me. I hope you're all having the best day, and I will see you guys again in my next video.